Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. It's been a while since I did a video in my series called Treasure or Trash. If you go to playlist, you'll see it. And that series focuses on major bands, and I do a full review of an album that is typically considered their worst album. And is it treasure or is it trash? I got a request to do Led Zeppelin's Presence, and it's actually one that I have been thinking about doing for quite a while, and let's take care of it. We're going to go through it track by track. It's a really interesting Zeppelin album. It is their seventh studio album out of their eight, not including Coda, which was after the fact. Came after Physical Graffiti, which came out in 75. That was my favorite Zeppelin album of all time. This one came out in 76. It did hit number one in the US, in the UK, but it is largely considered their worst studio record, and it's their lowest selling album actually in the United States. Now, it's interesting because I've been listening to, I did a whole video recently comparing Plant's solo career versus Page's solo career. You can go to videos and you'll see it. I just did it not that long ago. But you could really hear that this is almost like a Page solo record to a certain extent. And it makes sense. This album's got a lot of guitar riffs, a lot of guitar layering. It's got a really thick sound, but it's a bit bereft of melody and hooks, but it's understandable. This album was created in a traumatic situation. Robert Plant in 75 got into a terrible car accident, and they were supposed to tour. They canceled the tour, decided to go into the studio, and did this album pretty quickly. But Jimmy Page really ran with this thing, and it's just a lot of guitar licks and riffs, and let's go through it. Plant did his vocals disabled. The story is he actually did some of the vocals in a wheelchair, which, considering the situation he was under, it's pretty remarkable what he achieved vocally on it. But there's no keyboards and really very little acoustic guitar, so you get a lot less variation that you had in the other Zeppelin albums. Page controlled it, and it sounds like it. The opener, well, let's go through it. This is the deluxe edition, and I have all the Zeppelin deluxe ones. It's a 2 CD set. This is the packaging, and we'll talk about the artwork at the end. But this is the deluxe edition. It's got some bonus stuff. Here's the booklet. There, of course, is the original cover. And all you get in this stuff, it's pretty lean. There's the tracks. I don't know if you could even see that. But the opening track is one of only two tracks from the album that were ever performed live by Zeppelin. Achilles' Last Stand, the classic. Where is it on that side? And Achilles' Last Stand is thick and heavy and overloaded with tons of guitar overdubs. It opens up with some nice, gentle guitar picking and then quickly goes into this classic galloping, driving beast of a song, really. Plant's vocals sound great considering what he was going through. Man, it's tremendous. And Bonham is great on it. He really drives the song. Page supplies layer upon layers of guitar, shifting tempos to the song. You know, at around the 4-minute mark or so, you get this repeating stop-start, military start thing. Ba-da-da, 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 bump, bump. Bonham does 4 of them and then 2 and 4 of them and 2. It works well as a break in the song. The song's about 10 minutes long, a little over 10 minutes long. Perhaps it's a bit long, but it works. It definitely works. And really, for me, it's the only true classic Zeppelin track on Presence, Achilles' Last Stand. After that, it goes into For Your Life, which starts off with a great riff. Like, this is going to be killer. And a really good vocal from Plant. It starts off really strong. You get 2 fine verses with the choruses, but then somewhere around the 2-minute mark, it just starts diverging into other riffs. Very much like Page solo. Just the rest of melody and just riff into riff, and it gets jumbled, in my opinion. Sometimes it's better to keep things simple. What's that called, Kiss? Keep it simple, stupid? It just gets messy. And For Your Life, although it starts off really strong, just gets messy, and it's 6 minutes long. Way too long. For me, I would have cut that thing in half and get rid of some of those extra kind of riffs that are really unnecessary. It ends, side one ends with Royal Orleans, and here's the flip side, because it it opens kind of reminds me of For Your Life. Good funky opener with great vocals. But this time, Royal Orleans is only 3 minutes long. It's got no fat, and it's much better for it. So Royal Orleans, to me, is like an improvement over For Your Life. A lot better. It's a good track for sure. That's the end of side one. Let's go into side two, which starts off with the other epic, although it's about 6 minutes long. We're talking about the classic Nobody's Fault But Mine, the other song that they performed live. Now, originally it was credited as a Led Zeppelin song, which, of course, really pisses me off because it's another Led Zeppelin publishing steal. It is not an original song at all. It's a classic old blues track. In fact, the original blues track was called Nobody's Fault But Mine. They really just took that song. Now, of course, they completely rearrange it. It's an original composition of a classic blues track. And that blues track had covers as well. It's just an original arrangement. They turned it into this heavy-duty, heavy Led Zeppelin classic. No doubt about it. But it's still not an original song. It's an original arrangement. In fact, there's another one on there. In Nobody's Fault But Mine, there's a part where Plant does the and he borrows that from the Yardbirds, a song called Hot House for Mama Garshid, which, of course, the Yardbirds had Jimmy Page. So, the song is a total steal, although a rearrangement, but they took that bit from the Yardbirds that works well. Great harmonica solo in Nobody's Fault But Mine. I love that. It's my highlight of that track. It's a great track. I love it. It just annoys me that they took credit as the songwriters. Next up, we get Candy Store Rock. And Candy Store Rock, to me, is a total mess. It sounds like a studio jam. They're trying to get a thing going. And then, hey, Robert, throw in some lyrics, and he starts to sing over it. Oh, baby, baby. Oh, baby, baby. And, those lyrics may have worked in a light kind of Buddy Holly kind of a song, because there's almost like a 50-ish kind of twang to that thing in a sense. It could have worked maybe, but not on this track, in my opinion. It's a stillborn track. It needs a lot of work. That song could have fit on the second disc on this deluxe edition as a work in progress, as opposed to just a song on the album. In fact, amazingly to me, Candy Store Rock was a single in the United States. It didn't chart, and understandably. Next song is Hot's On For Nowhere, right? Hot's On For Nowhere. And that's another really funky groove with another great Plant vocal. The chorus is catchy as hell. You finally have like a hook, a real hooky chorus, which I really like. You even get a cool guitar solo. Nothing spectacular, but it's good. And then at the end of the song ends, you get a false ending, which is kind of weird. It goes right back into the catchy part for a whole nother go-around on it. And it works really well. Hot's On For Nowhere is a vast improvement on Candy Store Rock, which came before it. The album ends with T for One. And this time, Led Zeppelin plagiarizes themselves again, but this time they plagiarize from themselves, which they're allowed to do. It is so similar to a classic to me from Led Zeppelin 3, Since I've Been Loving You, which to me is the highlight of Led Zeppelin 3. I love that track. It's basically that song. So T for One, for me, is really good. It just comes off as a total retread, a very good one. And it actually, it's the first time really on this whole album where you get a nice, clean guitar soloing from Jimmy Page. It's nice to hear. Now, Zeppelin could do this kind of music in their sleep, that kind of bluesy, kind of clean bluesy track. And it works. It's really good. And Plant's vocals are terrific. The weird thing is it goes to the 9-minute mark, which is kind of long, but I don't mind it because it's just in a good groove. But then the song just kind of ends. It doesn't really reach this big climax, which Since I've Been Loving You, to me, does. So the song just never peaks, in my opinion. So T for One's a fine track, even though it's a retread of Since I've Been Loving You, but it just never totally takes off. That's the issue I have with that. So that's where the album ends. Now let's talk about the cover and the artwork. For me, it's an incredible cover. It's the best part of the album, actually. Here's the inner gatefold. And you kind of know it from now. It's from Hypnosis, and it features the object in all of these pictures. And what does the object mean? It's kind of signifying a presence. Are they present? What is this presence? This mysterious kind of a concept that Hypnosis did. And I love it. And it's actually grown over the years. In fact, you ever watch that show, what's it called, Porn Stars? Rick actually did sent somebody out on a search, said, you got to get me one of the objects, the original objects. They did 1,000 of them as promos that they sent out. And they're worth a lot of money now. And Rick had somebody find one, and he paid like thousands of dollars, if I remember right, for it. So, yeah, I'd love to get my hand on one of those as well. I think the artwork is the best part of the album. Not that the album's not good. It is good. And that's where we get to this treasure or trash. Listen, it's Led Zeppelin. Even subpar Led Zeppelin is still really good, right? And it's got some great moments on there. But it is definitely, in my opinion, a disjointed album. Most people consider it their worst studio album, even worse than Into the Outdoor, and I would agree to that. It is not a great, great album. But I like to say this with other artists as well. It's a great Led Zeppelin album if you're a huge Led Zeppelin fan. You got to have it, for a couple of the tracks. Certainly Achilles' Last Stand and, a couple of the other tracks. But it's not a major album. I don't think anybody could honestly say, yeah, as a studio record, does it really hold up to these? I don't think so. Definitely not. They only performed 2 of the songs live, but of course they ended their career less than 4 years later. So I don't think they would have continued playing a lot of these songs either. So that's my point of presence. I'd like to know what you think. Is it trash? No. But if somebody wanted to get into Led Zeppelin, this would probably be the last album I would tell them to listen to. I think there's going to be some exceptions. There's probably some really big Led Zeppelin fans out there who want to be contrarian, and there might be some people who actually discovered Led Zeppelin with this album, and then this might be their favorite album. And I get that, because if you discover a band through an album, that album becomes a favorite of yours. I understand that. But in general, Presence, it is not trash, because it's got value to it for sure, and it's not a trash album. It's just not a particularly good Led Zeppelin album, but it's got some good moments. So that's my pick on it. I'd love to know your thoughts about Presence and Led Zeppelin's #1 1976 album. As always, I appreciate you watching me. There is Treasure and Trash as a playlist. You can check out my videos. Ooh, we're getting close to 500 videos I've done, and I hope you enjoy my channel. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe. Feel free to dig into the playlist, and I'll see you next time on The Alan Rosenberg Show.